What you doing? Washing the sheets?
Gotta wash the sheets.
We've got big plans, guys. We're forcing ourselves to get really organized. Big news that we don't want to say anything about yet unless it actually happens. For now, we're gonna wash the sheets in the RV. All right, I'm gonna finish up processing all this celery, which was only 3 actual celery plants that Rob started this spring. I hope to not waste any of it, so if there are any little bits and pieces, I'm putting them in the dumping bowl for the chickens. I'm going to freeze all of the tops and save that for broth, and I'm separating all of the good stalks right now. Hopefully can freeze that and save it for soup. And then I'm gonna freeze and save the bottoms for broth as well. I'd like to make a few things this week. Potato salad, tuna salad. Rob's working on our
Charlie's interested.
freezing milk project. We're experimenting with how much of our own food we can bring with when we take an extended RV trip. So we bought these on Amazon. What are they supposed to be?
They're supposed to be 16-ounce pouches. The package that they came in said they're 17-ounce, so I thought, oh, that's good. It gives an extra ounce for expansion in the freezer, and I've discovered they're more like 12-ounce.
But they also don't need room for expansion.
Yeah, I'm leaving a little bit, but...
Uh-huh.
So I'm kind of just filling... It came with a little funnel. I'm filling them up so that when they sit, when they fill, they sit up, kind of like to that spout line. And then that seems to be enough room for expansion. We froze one last night to test it for expansion. Froze fine, nice. So this is what we're gonna use these for raw milk that we get from our local farm here. And we have been making our own bone broth, and she's been putting it in jars. We've had some problems with breaking jars, but
I've broken a lot of glass jars in the last couple months.
we think that, well, this will be a better way to store them in the freezer, but also
Because you do have to leave quite a bit of space in the glass.
These seem to take up a lot less space than a jar. But the reason is that we bought a travel freezer, an external freezer to bring with us with the RV, so we can pack it full of our chicken, which I pulled a bunch of our Cornish cross. I'm gonna break those down into breasts and legs and bags of wings and vacuum seal all that. We're traveling with our own grub.
We're definitely giving away the big news / surprise, which is that we hope to take a long RV trip in the very near future. We are preparing for that, and this will be the first time that we've done little weekend trips, but we have never done an extended trip where we're trying to bring raw milk from the local farm we get it from, raw beef liver, frozen extra lots of chicken because we raised our own.
You can get local beef, local bacon, local, you know, we can get a lot of good, we have a lot of good sources for local stuff.
This will be, you know, economical. It's an experiment. It's fun.
You know, we love traveling, but we both came to consensus we don't like sacrifices that we make while we're traveling. Okay, so here's what I'm doing here. I'm taking my little pouch, came with my little funnel, but I'm going ahead and I'm just like kind of pre-measuring with this measuring cup. I can pour right into this, but I'm just kind of trying to be consistent. I think it's a little bit less than 12 ounces I've been putting in. And it goes in. I was like, this is going to take forever with this little funnel, but it does not actually. It kind of just fills pretty easily. So we're going to do this with milk and with our own bone broth that we make, to bring that with us, because we use that to cook and we give it to the dogs. We use put it on the dog food every day. I'll tell you what, so this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 jars of milk that we would, this takes up a lot less real estate than 6 pint jars would.
3 right here. Alright, I'm gonna drink some milk.
You got a little bit extra right here.
And finish the rest of my celery processing.
Shouldn't put it back in there. having fun, 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 making all of our food to go now. Da 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 down on the farm, down on the farm, down on the farm. These are great. These are great, guys. I do declare.
Well, I've come to a stopping point with the celery because I gotta go down to the RV and get some gallon Ziploc bags. So I'm gonna start this homemade ice cream that I've already got going here. It's been in the fridge. I added the milk, cream, sugar, salt, and vanilla together over low heat. Put it in the fridge for a day, and then I've had my ice cream bowl in the freezer for a day. Let's see if I can put y'all up here. I did a double batch, so I'm just only gonna pour half of this in here. I'll keep an eye on that. It's gonna spin around for maybe 20 minutes. I'm gonna put the other half back in the fridge, and I'm gonna start some chocolate gelatin gummies. I made pineapple ones for the very first time a couple weeks ago, and I didn't really like them, so I've been looking for another recipe to eat with every meal, because the gelatin helps heal and seal your gut and just, I think, the whole digestive system. So I'm gonna start that as well. I'm using heavy cream, raw cacao, I think maple syrup. Gotta check my phone. Yeah, see how they turn out. Ice cream's looking good, but probably needs another 10 minutes or so. You'll notice when it starts to whip up and look really creamy and start to get thick, it's done. So the instructions for this, I've never done this before, say to add the 2 cups of cream in with the 2 tablespoons of gelatin and let it sit for 5 minutes to allow the gelatin to bloom. I haven't stirred it, didn't say stir. Then I'm gonna add I'm doing cacao powder, maple syrup. It says instant coffee and salt. I'm not gonna do the instant coffee. And then I'm gonna turn it on medium-low heat and whisk constantly until the gelatin is dissolved and all ingredients are incorporated. Remove from the heat and whisk in the vanilla. Pour mixture through a fine mesh sieve. Cool for 20 minutes, then pour into molds. Here goes nothing, guys. These might be the best thing ever. I have no idea. And I set a timer for 5 minutes. I'm trying to change my ways. Normally, I'm not good about timers on anything. I consulted with Rob and decided to stir up the heavy cream and the gelatin, and I let it sit for 5 more minutes. So now I'm gonna add everything else and see what happens. Alright, the ice cream is a nice thick consistency. I don't let it whip up too much because then it seems to be like airy and not dense like really good ice cream. It starts to whip. Yeah, so just if it seems a little not done, just stop it, because once it freezes, it'll be perfect. And then I just let this finish sitting. I strained it and then let it sit for 20 minutes. Now I've poured it into these molds. I already have one full one in the fridge, and it's gonna sit in there for 5 hours. I will let you all know how they are, but they look a lot better than the pineapple ones. We also got this thing from Marshall's, and I had it in the freezer as well. Just a little tip, I've learned to put everything in the freezer. Get it cold.
Silicone ice cream pint quart.
Reusable, yeah, we wash and reuse that.
So I was just thinking that a good way to see if you like doing all of this preserving or making your own food is to do it using local sources before, you know, we don't have a dairy cow, so you know, maybe you get a dairy cow and decide you don't need all that milk, or you decide you don't want to make your own ice cream. But this seems like a low risk way, if you're getting it from a local source, to then see like, oh well, we used the milk and the cream for this, you know, instead of getting the that's just moisture, I think, from that.
Yeah, that's something that we didn't necessarily think about. You can go to a farmer's market or a local stand, you know, produce stand, and get enough stuff to can tomato juice. Or, you know, we just bought a second giant bag of zucchini from our friends at the farmer's market. Hello.
It's a good one.
It's delicious. And like with bone broth, you can find a local farm, buy bones from them, start making your own giant batches of bone broth, and say, hey, you know what, it'd be great if I had
beef liver,
my own chickens that I could butcher up one every week and make bone broth every week from the bones, like this. So you don't have to grow giant stalks of celery. You could go buy a few stalks of celery and cut them up and freeze them and portion them out and use local stuff. I think that's a good point.
See if you use it.
You don't have to grow it all and raise it all. Start by just supporting your local farms and friends and families who are doing a lot of hard work and trying to make some money by selling it.
Start where you're at. I think like that's what we were like, buying local, then we grew veggies. Now we've grown chickens. We use a lot of beef, and we use it in many different forms, and we like the dairy. We use cream, butter, milk. So
we'd love to make our own butter.
Might need to get a beef.
A beef. I just finished up this celery project, so I divided it into stems and tops. The tops I'm mostly gonna save for broth. I've got 4 bags. The bottoms, I got 2 full bags and then a half sort of mixed bag here. I'm gonna be making broth after Rob butchers up all these chickens. And then we just finished boiling some potatoes to make potato salad from our potatoes, our celery, our onions, our eggs. Man, does that feel good. And Rob was like, oh shoot, I don't have the Italian dressing to make that. So what'd you do?
So I like to Google a copycat recipe if there's something I like. So this was Good Seasons Italian dressing, which I've used since I was a kid. The reason it's in the recipe because my mom always used it when I was a kid. But I found one that I tasted it seems identical with all the herbs and spices and things we have in the house. So I just made a bulk jar of it, and then you can mix it with oil and vinegar, shake it up, and it's good to go. The plus is that it doesn't have preservatives and anti-caking agents and stuff like the pouches at the store would too. That's the other important thing.
It's always good. If you can make it from scratch, guys, I think it's always better. There's just all these extra little ingredients that large companies have to add to make their product better and last longer and cheaper, and you don't realize it until you really start reading labels, but it's everywhere. We actually are just now peeling back a second layer in all of this and looking at our fragrances. We're doing a lot of just, you know, soul searching. So that's where we're at. We are gonna catch you guys in the next video. Till then.